Hi, I'm Nigel Atherton of What to Do with Camera, and we're talking to Mike Owen of Canon about the EOS 5D Mark II, in fact. Mustn't forget that.
No, absolutely.
Tell me about that.
So, I mean, the 5D Mark II is obviously the latest iteration of the 5D. There's a huge number of adjustments and improvements over the previous version. Instead of being a 12 megapixel sensor, it's now a 21 megapixel full frame sensor you find in the camera. But it's a different design sensor that's in the 1DS Mark III. It's a newly designed sensor to actually enable us to improve the ISO speeds up to 25,600. So it now has an ISO range ranging from 50 up to 25,600, which is the first for EOS.
It's not the same sensor from the EOS 1DS Mark III,
no,
same megapixels,
but a newly designed sensor.
Right, okay.
So the micro lenses have been adjusted and the filters have been adjusted to actually allow more light to get through to the sensor to make it more sensitive for the ISO speed.
So it's probably better than the 1DS Mark III sensor in some ways then?
Different.
Quite possibly.
Different.
Right, okay.
It's going to give you slightly different results. But the thing that seems to be polarising people at the moment about this particular camera is actually the first EOS to include full HD movie functionality.
Right.
And that will give you a 1080 by 1920 resolution movie file. The movie files are recorded onto a memory card, as your stills will be, but it will be recorded into an MPEG-4.mov file, so it's great. You can just drop it straight into your Mac, for example, straight into iMovie. A QuickTime player will play the movie straight away. But one thing we like about this particular iteration of the movie and our implementation of the movie function here is the fact that ultimately you're still a stills photographer. So you want to take stills. So you're doing your movie function, you see all of a sudden there's a still you want to capture. You can do that by pressing the shutter button. Your camera will respond as it would normally to as a stills camera, and then once you remove the shutter button, it will then continue to record movie.
Okay. Can I ask how you, if you're using it as a camera, can I ask how you then access the movie function? If you're
absolutely. So the movie function is quite easy to implement, really. What you would do is you would press the live view button. In fact, let's turn the camera on first.
That helps.
You press the live view button here, so you can now see. We would then press the set button on the back of the camera, and now we're recording a movie. So it's also recording an audio channel as well. But because we have the monochrome picture style set up, it's actually recording the movie in the monochrome mode. So to shoot a still, all you would do is just press the shutter button. The still's now been recorded, and it's now gone back to recording the movie function for you.
So you can take a still whilst recording a movie?
Absolutely.
And it carries on recording the movie?
It doesn't. It has to pause the movie just for a split second, because obviously the mirror drops down, the shutter blades have to go down to meter and AF effectively, but then as soon as the mirror comes back up again, it continues recording the movie.
It's like a pause, you don't get a big black space in the movie.
Pause.
Let's have a little look at this one, let's have a point over here, man. Okay.
So that's it, so you're now recording. Now if we press the shutter button, it does it.
And then it resumes
and
again.
then it just resumes. So if we now go back into the playback mode, so if we go, so we'll just stop that. If we go into playback mode, what you can see here, that's the wrong way, is you've now got your still and your movie. So we play the movie. You can hear there's the speaker there as well, so you can hear what we're actually recording. We're panning. We've done the still, and then it just continues round again. So we think that's quite a useful implementation for the photographer who wants to capture stills, maybe for a website, for a blog, that sort of implementation. You've got the ability to have an external microphone, so for example you want to use a wireless mic because you're doing an interview, you can plug that straight in, and the soundtrack will be recorded directly to the movie.
Stereo,
obviously. Absolutely, yes, stereo.
And what are the limitations of movie? There's a time limit, isn't there?
There's a time limit, I mean, ultimately the file will not be recorded any more than 4 gigs. So that is the limit. On a full HD movie, that'll give you about a 12-minute full HD clip. If you're shooting in the smaller standard definition mode, then that will give you about a 24-minute clip.
What else is there's the new processor, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Digic 4 processor, which is about 1.3 times faster than the old Digic 3 processor. So it's now able to shoot 21 megapixel full frame images at 3.9 frames per second, whereas the previous 5D could only do 3 frames a second.
And what else is there?
It's got a new LCD screen, so the LCD screen is a much higher resolution, so it's the 920,000 dot screen. Has been implemented these days, but we've also added in things like an auto brightness detector. So if it goes dark, it actually dims the LCD screen to make sure you're saving battery life.
Right, okay.
Because ultimately you want the LCD screen to be visible in the conditions you're shooting in.
Yeah.
So you don't need it really bright if it's dark outside.
So this is just a sensor,
it's just a light sensor.
You think, okay.
Yeah, so you put your finger over it and the screen. So that's obviously one of the things we know, that things like movie mode and quick view, live view should I say, use up a lot of battery life.
Right.
So by adding little features like this in, we're able to actually preserve battery life.
So how does the battery life compare with this, with the 5D?
Battery life's much better, because what we've got on this particular camera is there's actually a new lithium-ion battery. So it's not your standard BP511A, it is a completely new battery system. But it means that you can get about 850 shots out of a single charge, which is much better than...
Is that based on what, using movie as well?
Yeah, well, that's just on stills.
Okay.
The estimation at the moment is you get about an hour and a half of stills shooting on a single battery charge.
Okay.
But also, with it being the latest battery technology, the other thing that you can actually get out of this is that the temperature difference is much closer. So normally if you shoot at 23 degrees and you shoot at 0, you get a big drop off in battery performance.
Right.
Actually, that's been minimised with this particular battery.
Okay.
So the results are much closer.
Right.
It also has full UDMA capacity, so if you're shooting, you want to shoot a large burst, for example, using a standard UDMA card that you can buy on the market these days, you can get 310 large JPEGs out of a burst. So
Right.
just shoot until the card's full.
Okay.
It's also been future-proofed slightly as well. So with regards to UDMA compatibility, it's also compatible up to Mode 6 CF cards, which there are none on the market at the moment.
Right.
So we're trying to future-proof this product for our users.
Okay. The sensor cleaning as well, isn't it? I saw you turn it on.
Cleaning. Obviously, some people had concerns over dust on the 5D original camera. So again, we've tried to resolve those issues by putting the integrated cleaning system in the body, and we've also worked very hard to make sure that the seals around the camera and the panels are much tighter to increase any weather resistance.
Okay.
So it's actually better weather sealed than the previous version by quite a considerable amount.
Okay, and the ISO range has been
ISO range
as well?
is 50 to 25,600. So it will shoot 1,000 to 100 to 6,400 as a standard range, but then you can expand it out to 50 to 25,600 if you choose.
Okay, and I don't think there's anything else we've missed out. The main differences, we covered the resolution, ISO, movie modes, screens. There's quite a lot of improvements over the 5D.
Yeah, we think so. It's a completely different camera. I mean, obviously we also implemented things like the auto lighting optimizer, highlight tone priority. So all of those things we've been developing over the last couple of years since the original 5D have been implemented in here as well.
Right. And it's bringing it up to speed with the other Canons with the menu interface as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The menu interface.
And with the brighter and higher resolution LCD, it's actually a much better and much more usable UI string as well.
So can you just confirm the price?
Yeah, the price will be just shy of £2,300.
That's body only?
Body only, yeah.
Right,
I mean, if you want this come as a standard kit with the 24-105 lens as well, then the price for that will be £3,200.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot.